What retains evil in this world? All the more it seems as if kindness is fading and evil is taking root. You can see this on the face of people when you go to the grocery store. The way people aggressively drive down the road. There was once morality that said that we should not experiment with AI and with the genetic modifications. But now the more you look at the news, you see that there is no longer a moral compass. The needle on our compass is spinning out of control. Paul wrote in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 2, "Let no one deceive you in any way, because the falling away is to come first, and the man of lawlessness is to be revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as Elohim in the dwelling place of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. Do you not remember that I told you this while I was still with you? And now you know what restrains for him to be revealed in his time. Has not the falling away began? Has not man started exalting himself to be like the Most High, modifying genetics, creating idols that walk and talk as mentioned in Revelation chapter 13? 2 Thessalonians 2:6. And now you know what restrains for him to be revealed in his time. For the secret of lawlessness is already at work, only until he who now restrains comes out of the midst. And then the lawless one shall be revealed, whom the Master shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and bring to naught with the manifestation of his coming." What is the restrainer that Paul is talking about? The mystery of this is found in the book of Ayub, commonly called Job. Ayub, Job 39:1. And Ayub again took up his discourse and said, "Oh, that I were in the months past, as in the days when Eloah protected me, when his lamp shone on my head, and I walked in the dark by his light, as I was in the days of my prime, when the intimacy of Eloah was on my tent." Ayub, Job 30:11. Because he loosed my bowstring and afflicted me, they have thrown off restraint in my presence. At my right hand a brood rises. They push away my feet. They raise up against me their destructive ways. They have broken up my path. They gain by my ruin. No one restrains them. What was removed for this calamity to come upon Ayub? It was the hand of Yahuwah that was removed. Ayub, Job 1:8. And Yahuwah said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Ayub, that there is none like him on the earth, a perfect and straight man, one who fears Elohim and turns aside from evil?" And Satan answered Yahuwah and said, "Is Ayub fearing Elohim for naught? Have you not made a hedge around him, and around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But stretch out your hand, please, and strike all that he has, if he would not curse you to your face." And Yahuwah said to Satan, "See, all that he has is in your hand. Only do not lay a hand on himself." And Satan went out from the presence of Yahuwah. When the hand of Yahuwah is removed, man, like Ayub, will be in the hand of Satan. For it is the hand of Yahuwah that restrains evil on the earth. The name Ayub by the Odio means Yahuwah's hand on man's tent, a perfect picture of the book of Ayub. There is also a prophecy in the word for man and fire, for fire is the wrath of Elohim, which we will go over in detail in this video. The word for man is Aish. The word for man is Aish, Strong's 376, spelled Aleph, Yod, Shin. It means man, husband, person, or individual. The word for fire is Ash, Strong's 784, which means fire, or be fiery or to burn. There's a prophecy inside of these words. For the word Aish is man. It has the letters Aleph, Yod, and Shin. The letter Yod has the meaning of hand. Notice when the Yod is removed, the hand of Yahweh is removed from man. You're left with the Hebrew word ash, which means fire. For without Yahuwah, man will burn. You can also see this in the name of the Father Yahuwah, spelled Yod-He-Uah-He. Inside of his name you can see a man surrounded by wings of the letter He. This is man surrounded by the Spirit and protected by the hand of Yahuwah. The perfect picture of true love. This is the secret place. Telahim Psalms 91. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High, who abides under the shadow of the Almighty. He is saying of Yahuwah, my refuge and my stronghold, my Elohim in whom I trust. For he delivers you from the snare of the trapper and from the destructive pestilence. He covers you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. His truth is a shield and armor. You can see man under the wings of Yahweh in his name. But once again, if the hand of Yahweh is removed and the Yod is taken out of the Father's name, you are left with the Hebrew word Hua, Strong's 1943, which means ruin, destruction, and mischief. This is another spirit surrounding man, the evil spirit. The hand of Yahweh retains the evil spirit from entering into man, and when it is removed, this causes man ruin. What happens when the hand of Yahweh is taken away? And what causes Yahweh to remove his hand? 2 times the temple was made desolate when the abomination that lays desolate was placed, the Ashtaroth tree placed where it should not be. When our Savior was placed on the cursed tree, he said, Ali, Ali, lama azabtani, which means, my El, why have you forsaken me? The abomination, the cursed tree, causes Yahweh to forsake. That tree man has eaten of causes the hand to be removed. Ayub, Job 30:20. I cry out to you, but you do not answer me. I stand up, but you only look at me. You have become cruel to me. With the power of your hand you oppose me. You lift me up to the wind, making me to ride it, and you melt me in a storm. For I have known that you bring me to death, and the house appointed for all living. Yet does not one in a heap of ruin stretch out his hand, or in calamity cry out for help? The word for in a heap of ruins in this passage is N-A-I, Bet Ayin Yod, Strong's 1164. This word comes from A-I, Ayin Yod, which means a crown, a wreath, a garland, a ruin. Man crying out in a heap of ruins. This ruin, A-I, is here now. So what happens when the hand of Yahweh is removed? This brings forth his wrath. Kaiphabet, 2 Peter 3:7. And the present heavens and earth are treasured up by the same word, being kept for fire, to a day of judgment and destruction of wicked men. The wrath of Yahweh is fire. When the letter Yod is removed from the word for man, the word fire is shown. This is the fire of judgment that causes mankind to slay one another without restraint. Yeshayahu, Isaiah 9:19. The land shall be burned up by the wrath of Yahuwah of hosts, and the people be as fuel for the fire. A man shall not spare his brother, and cut down on the right hand, but shall be hungry, and he shall devour on the left hand, but not be satisfied, each one devouring the flesh of his own arm. Yehezkel, Ezekiel 38:21. And I shall call for a sword against Gog on all my mountains, declares the Master Yahuwah, the sword of each one being against his brother. Yirmiyahu, Jeremiah 13:14. And I shall dash them one against another, both fathers and sons together, declares Yahuwah. I do not spare, nor pardon, nor have compassion, that I should not destroy them. Zechariah 14:13. And it shall be in that day that great confusion from Yahuwah is among them, and every one of them shall seize the hand of his neighbor, and his hand rise up against his neighbor's hand. Chasson, Revelation 6:4. And another horse, fiery red, went out, and it was given to him, and it was given to the one who sat on it, to take peace from the earth, and that they should slay one another, and a great sword was given to him. The sword of Yahuwah is the fire of his wrath, that causes man to slay one another. There is a time coming that will cause all people to slay without restraint, even those in their own homes. This happens when man is no longer under the protection of Yahuwah because of the abomination. This leaves man's tent vulnerable to be invaded by the enemy and to be occupied. Matthew 12:43. Now when the unclean spirit goes out of a man, he goes through dry places seeking rest and finds none. Then he says, I shall return to my house from which I came. And when it comes, it finds it empty, swept, and decorated. Ayub, Job 18:13. It devours parts of his skin. The firstborn of death devours his parts. He is torn from the shelter of his tent, and they parade him before the sovereign of terrors. In his tent dwells that which is none of his. Brimstone is scattered on his house. His roots below dry up, and his branch is cut off above. Remembrance of him perishes from the earth, and he has no name on the street. They thrust him from light into darkness and chase him out of the world. The type of destruction and chaos coming to the world is like nothing that we have ever seen. Imagine millions of people turning on each other at the same time, fully indwelled with demons, like the man in the tombs in Mark 5, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him, not even with chains, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but the chains had been pulled apart, and the shackles broken in pieces, and no one was able to tame him. Nothing left to bind him, allegorical of the restrainer being taken away. This man could not even be held back by chains. Imagine everyone with this type of strength attacking each other, all at the same time. Every man, woman, and child turning on each other all at once. Matthew 24:21. For then there shall be a great distress, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no nor shall ever be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. Kaiphabet, 2 Peter 3:11. Seeing all these things are to be destroyed in this way, what kind of people ought you to be in a set-apart behavior and reverence, looking for and hastening the coming of the day of Elohim, through which the heavens shall be destroyed, being set on fire, and the elements melt with intense heat. But according to his promise, we wait for a renewed heavens and a renewed earth, in which righteousness dwells. So then, beloved ones, looking forward to this, do your utmost to be found by him in peace, spotless and blameless.